So everybody, I'm on my channel and there's a lot of things going on in the country that should be better than they are. Our gas, at least in Florida, it's like over $5 a gallon. There's zero excuse for that. It doesn't matter that Biden just jacked it up and Trump saying, oh, it's caused by war. He's not putting America first. I have been really disappointed in him so far this second term. He's done certain things, taken down a lot of bad things like trans and pulled them all out of his staff and the radar, and the White House is cleaned up. Um, do I think the military and the FBI and all that is all fixed? No. And one of the things that I wanted to go over, well, two things I wanted to go over. The Golden Globes, I guess, just happened. And there was a video here about rapes in Spain. So, one of the reasons they let illegals rape, and even legals, is that our government does it. Our half or more of our government are all pedophiles and criminals and sexual deviants. And so it's pretty hard to hold someone accountable of the very crime you're guilty of. So imagine me being a sick judge and going, oh no, I want to rape, but you're going to jail for rape. How does that work? And that's what you have happening. And people never, when I started my channel in 2012, I'll never forget, I saved someone from suicide. I don't know if anybody even remembers that live stream I was on. And this little boy was raped by a priest. He wasn't even 18 and he found my channel. Can you imagine the brain? And he was like in England, I think it was, or the UK, somewhere far. And his mother loved her church. She was so loyal to her church, but inside they put him as an altar boy, and the priest was going down into the shower and raping the boy in the shower, sending him home. And when your priest rapes you, it's like you don't believe in God anymore because he was supposed to be a representative of God. So this poor boy would go home to his mother, who would be uttering over dinner talk how great the sermon was and how much she loved the priest. And the boy sitting there over his meal, trying to act normal and eat when he was raped in a shower hours before. How do you friggin' survive that and get over it? And so he got to me and he could barely utter the words without breaking down and crying. And I was so horrified. And I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist. I went to 12th grade. I hated school so much that anything that I know, I learned along the road of life, and all I can do is the best I can do. But this kid got to me and he said to me, please save me. And me, Miss Little tear jerking crybaby over here, I said to him, oh my God, sweetie, what? You got raped by a priest in a church? Oh my God. I don't even know how to, I don't know what I can do, but I'll listen. So he talked and I listened. We did this happened over multiple conversations, multiple private videos, multiple emails and messages. And then when he would reveal things, I would respond. And when I was on YouTube, there used to be this thing to send a private video to somebody. So he, like I said, I just went on and on trying to help him get past trying to kill himself. And then the sidebar was how to deal with the church and the mother and the town and the priest himself. And don't forget, you're talking about a person under 18 that's a virgin, and then he's been raped in the shower. So I did not know the best thing. But what I did tell him was, okay, he stole your right, your peace of mind, your ability to choose your partner. And I assume that was going to be a woman. I don't know. But, fall in love and have intimate intercourse. And that is so criminal. But here's where you have to go from here. He only stole that. And what you need to do is beat what he stole and create a new reality and create a life past that. Can we go there? Can we do that? And he was like, and I'm like, you know what? I can't let you have that man who isn't a disciple of God, who isn't a good person. He's masquerading in a robe. He's not really supposed to be there. And the minute I got him to be able to separate that priest wasn't really representing the word of God, he began to heal. And I was like, you are? Oh God, thank you. Because, you have to break it down that there's a lot of fake prophets. There's fake people in government. There's fake presidents faking their way every which way. And so, you know, it wasn't just the priest, but to this kid, it was his whole world. So once I got him to divorce himself from the reality that the man in the robe was actually representing God and the priest and the church, he could start to crawl out of his pain. And that's where we went with that. And little by little, each time, I kept trying to get him to rebuild and to get to a new life and get him to have choices. Because I said to him, if you're gay or you want to be with other men, that's fine. But I want that to be your decision because the man picked you because you were nice and innocent. It had nothing to do with your gender. He's gay, but that doesn't mean you're gay. So I want your decision to be what you want. And then I gave him permission to tell or not tell people what happened to him. I said, it's your personal pain, it's your personal journey. If you don't want to tell people or the cost is too high to tell people, then don't. But don't wear shame. You need the man in the robe to wear the shame. And you need to understand you're clean. You're completely clean in your life and in your being. And that's why he picked you, because you were so pure. He craved, bad people crave injuring good people because they're easier prey. Someone that's a bigger bully or a tough guy probably would have turned around and kicked him so hard. You were just a person that did not know how to respond, and you didn't respond with violence, which made you perfect prey. So again, we broke all this down. And predators, they don't necessarily always have a gender even in this. There's priests that can rape women, but a lot of priests are gay and they're denied their sexual things because they're not supposed to be married. So then they go attack the very people that they're supposed to save. It's a very messed up system. And it's in government, and it's in courts, and it's in judges, and it's in our Congress, our Senate, our presidency, our TV, our media, our whatever. And so when they allow for all the crimes to be committed about rape and abuse and child abuse and child porn, it's only because it's hard for them to rule against themselves. And in a right world, especially in this country, in the United States, we would have a one offense law and you would get a harsh sentence across all 50 states. There's some states like California and New York that are already trying to make pedophilia not even a criminal charge and not even giving you a record. Why? They lose a voter. And then they don't have power to push a democratic agenda, which allows for zero consequences from rape because it cleans up the voter rolls and puts the people that say no, hell no in charge. And it ruins the idea that it's a global, global ability that people have to do these things and get away with it so that they can be held more valuable for their vote than for who they injure. And we're really just seeing it happen now. And there's a couple of countries, just a couple, that won't allow migrants. But migrants are known to be rapers in Minnesota, in Michigan, in California, where they have all these cases of all these massive, massive rapes. It's because they've allowed that to take over and zero consequences. There's certain states that have harsh penalties for rape, um, but there's certain states that don't. And I find it ironic that so many judges are so compromised, and then they'll still hold others accountable too. We have a very, very messed up country and world. But if United States could fix itself just a little bit more, we could lead in making other countries hold all these crimes accountable and not allowing it. And the, Trump made a tweet a long time ago about, child abductions and whatever, and saying fast trial lock. I can't even remember what he said, death penalty. And so if the price was the death penalty globally and especially in USA, they wouldn't get away with offending. But they're so desperate now to allow for all of this to continue and very little consequences. Um, you know, but the thing is now that so many of us are awake, and the price tag for when you're raped by a priest or anybody is your lifetime memories. And you've been robbed from the path that you were born on to the path someone put you on. And you do get to create a new after path, but it's never the path that was intended for you. We are not supposed to abuse anybody. So the ending story of where I started with that kid is I moved him out of pain and into adulthood. I think we stayed in touch until they took down my channel. And unfortunately, I was kicked off Facebook, which is where he was connecting me with too. And I just pray that I instilled enough goodness and goodwill into him that he was okay. And there's other people besides me that have these healing after victimization. And nobody can label who you are but yourself. And you have to live with yourself and who you are. And you shouldn't live in a dirty, dark secret. You shouldn't live in permanent shame. When someone victimizes you, you have to make them own it, even if it's only in your own mind. But you don't have to live forever broken. And the reason society wants you broken is because you're easier to control. And most people don't heal. They drink, they get addiction, they need medication, they live in depression, and they can be molded into whatever you want them to be. And so it's it's something that's been in society long before I was born, but now it's not as much of a secret. And now finally there's room for people to heal. And that's why they hated who I was and what I was doing, because I was letting people get better without drugs, without drinking, without a doctor, and just saying, oh no, you don't define me. You're the criminal. I was victimized. And I'm going to go back to me minus you. And it takes a long time, and it doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. You have to go through all the stages of crying and pain, man or woman. Whoever said men shouldn't cry should, I don't know what. Everyone feels pain, and everyone has a right to cry. And that's one of the only ways you cleanse your pain out of you. So, I'm here and they allow my truth on here. And for that, I'm so thankful. But United States right now has brought in those millions and millions of people that are raping at an immense, enormous rate, and they're not being deported fast enough. Trump isn't doing it enough. Our DOJ is compromised. He hasn't fired Pam Bondi. There's been zero arrests after Epstein files. Can you imagine UK arrests two people first and we do not? And then the next day we break out in war. Give me a break. And then gas goes up. So we all focus on something else. Um, we're slow to get fixed. And Trump has not learned. I think it's Argentina or another country. They got rid of all the judges. They fired one judge here and arrested one judge. Whoopee do. There's like hundreds that need to be removed and arrested. And so, we're going on 1.5 years of Trump's presidency. We've got this tiny little window left, and we need to stop worrying about whatever war is happening somewhere else. We're having a war on the home front, and it's with the Department of Justice and the fact that they don't do their job. And if they did, and the judges got fired, the behavior of all parties would change, and the Democrats could never act up the way they still are. So we have a lot of work to do. We've made a lot of progress. If you remember in 2015 and 2016, when I mentioned the word Epstein or George Soros, I was banned from everywhere. And when I was on Twitter with Julian Assange and WikiLeaks, the owner, Jack Dorsey, would unfollow me from there so that I couldn't find out from either one of them what was going on. So we've come a long way. Elon has destroyed X. I think I've had probably 6 accounts since he got on. They won't even let me have an account. And I just don't care to chase him. I don't. I figure there's a reason why I'm not there, because there's plenty of people that, do the news and pass the torch. But Elon has not been who he said he's been. There's a couple of good things about him, but not that much. And he's using X the way he wants to. And he's not letting it be used for businesses to grow. And he's not letting it be used for healthy, happy news and healing. He wants it to be his own toxic environment where only certain people get in and only certain people make money. And there's no free speech with him whatsoever. He's hired all H-1B visa workers to hack every single account. And the last account that I had it for like 3 weeks. And then for no reason at all, they just locked me out. And I just don't feel like fighting to get back in. I don't care. I'm actually better off and happier in Florida, just not even having to fight for every ounce of internet air I want to breathe. But my message is being heard, and other people are doing wonderful things on here and getting to the point where we are today, where we're calling out our own government, Trump's mistakes, and getting people, like, for someone to pull up this video from 2012 is huge, because it's showing the farce that Obama is. And a long time ago, you couldn't do that. So we can't fix the 50 years of corruption that I knew about in one term, but we can continue to make the needle go the right way.